Yo, we are live, I believe. Can you hear me? Let me know, please, in the chat. Should be good, I hope. I hope. How's everyone doing? Good weekend? I guess you can hear me. Let me just play a little bit of this and tell me if you can hear this. Yep. Good. Nice one. Cheers, Joe. How's everyone doing? Sorry about last week. I woke up on Friday morning with the flu and wasn't really feeling up to doing this on Friday, to be honest. It was going to be a bit shit, to be honest. But we're here now, and we've got a record number of tracks. There were a few people who didn't get their tracks, managed to get their tracks sorted correctly, so couldn't download them and whatnot, but we've got a record number of tracks, 35. So we're going to go through these pretty quickly because otherwise we're going to be here all night, and I just can't do that, you know. But anyway, first things first, I just wanted to say a massive congratulations to one of our Patreon community members. Dickie Clare just had his debut on Knee Deep in Sound this week. So big W's in the chat to Dickie. That's like massive. I'm super proud of this dude. He wrote me, it must have been a couple of years ago, on Instagram, saying that he liked my music and he was a big fan of Hot Since 82's music, and his goal was to get signed to Knee Deep in Sound. And he's been sending in tracks into these live streams pretty freaking consistently, almost every time for the last couple of years. And anyone who watches these regularly will have seen his music go from pretty fucking average to really good. So yeah, really stoked for the dude. And for everyone out there, set some goals and just work towards those. He was really focused on this one thing, and he was trying to do that. And yeah, big shout out to him for doing it. Let's have a quick listen to this. So yeah, super stoked for him, and go follow him on Instagram, Dickie Clare Music. Drop him a comment, say that you're stoked for him, and also ask him where the fuck's his track for this week. I text him, but apparently he's too big for us now. Anyway, let's jump into it. We've got a lot to go through, so let's roll. So I'm going to go through these tracks pretty quickly. I'm not going to kind of listen to them in full because it's just not going to be possible. I want to get everyone's, get everyone listened to and get everyone a little bit of feedback. So let's roll. Can you just tell me if the mic volume to the audio music volume is okay? Right, Marcel, this is solid, dude. I really like it. He has done a kind of great job of keeping it simple. I think there's room for like a few kind of like one-off sounds, just kind of like one-shot effects or like percussion fills or something like that. Like the beat is really cool, and it's nice that you've kind of kept it. It's like sounds solid and full, but it's not too overdone. There's like, yeah, like a good solid kind of simplicity to the beat, but I think there's room for some kind of like, I don't know, like stuff I put in my tracks a lot, stuff like percussion with a big delay on it or something like that, just some kind of atmospheric stuff that, like ear candy. I think the vocal is probably a little bit quiet. It could come up in volume a bit. I guess you're trying to have it tucked back a little bit, but I think it's a little bit too quiet, and it's distorting from however much limiting and shit you're putting on it. I think most of your tracks that you send me have this problem, and whenever I've looked at your project files, you have some crazy limiting shit going on that you've got from somewhere on YouTube, some mastering chain. My advice to everyone is like, try to get your track sounding as solid as possible without like loads of mastering and shit. You know, if you're relying heavily on some kind of intricate master chain to get your track sounding balanced, then it's the wrong way to go. Like literally, when I'm making a DJ master to go and try out in a club, I mix it until it sounds as good as possible, and I put a limiter on it just to get it up to volume. And to get it up to like a kind of loudness of around -8 to -9 LUFS, you shouldn't be getting this much audible distortion on the kick and stuff. Like everything just sounds pretty slammed. Looking at the waveform, doesn't look too overly clipped, but I'm not sure. We'll figure out what's going on there, Marcel. Anyway, moving on. Good stuff. Good start. I like it. That little, I don't know, clave kind of sounding thing, I'd put a bit of reverb and delay on that. It sounds cool, but it sounds a bit weird. The intro so far sounds like a bit boring. There's not much going on, and it seems to be pretty much the same for almost a minute there. Your bass is sounding quite muddy there, especially when it goes down to these lower octaves. Probably to do with the sound source that you've chosen. So I would try some different patches. I'd also recommend like getting some shakers or something in here to give it a bit more vibe and atmosphere in the highs. yeah, the vocal, again, it's like, it's the same as I said on those kind of clave percussion sounds that came in at the start. Like, it's just kind of there. Do something to make it a bit more interesting, like some delay, reverb, some variation on it, you know. Make it a bit, if you take your elements and kind of make them a little bit more of a feature, have a little bit more detail, then you kind of need less elements, but because all the elements are kind of strong and adding more to the track.
I'm on a high, yeah, and you should know. Give me something, yeah, not them diamonds, yeah. I'm on a high, yeah, and you should know. I'm on a high, yeah, and you should know.
Nice work coming in with this new melody. It's cool to kind of pick it up after the break, but I feel like nice that the vocals kind of leading into the break there.
Give me something.
I think I recognize the vocal from like a sample pack or something. It's cool. I think this synth thing could come in before the break. So I think the vocal's cool, but it's probably not enough to carry the track. I think I would bring those kind of like rhythmic synth things forward in the track a bit, and probably look for something that's a little bit more standout in the synths to kind of add after the break, or maybe in the break. I wouldn't say it needs to be another like repetitive thing that's playing every bar or every half bar. Maybe like something that's happening on the one, or some kind of like, yeah, kind of cool synth one-shot type thing that's really interesting, and you know, like an arpeggio that plays at the end of every fourth bar or something, and you automate the shit out of it. I don't know, something cool and unique. Solid stuff, Ollie. This synth that you've got coming in here, it's kind of like it's like answering the groove kind of thing. I feel like you could maybe open up the filter envelope a little bit, get a little bit more highs coming through, or even layer it with something that's a little bit more like another octave up or something. You could even try shifting that in another octave up, but so far a really cool track. Nice, this arpeggio sounds really good.
Yeah. Reminds me of song.
Okay, now it makes more sense actually. I don't know, I think the vocals that you're starting to use here, I feel like it was better when you were just using like really little bits of them. It kind of made the track a little bit cooler. I think I've used a vocal from the same sample pack in one of my tracks actually. I think was my track Barricade maybe.
Can't stop. All right. Let's.
Yeah, I think with the vocals, really like just strip it back and then use the synths and stuff to kind of build the energy and the tension. The vocals sound a little bit kind of thrown in there, and they're also like the track's pretty kind of underground and deep sounding, and I feel like the vocals are taking away from that a little bit.
I like the sound of that. Hey. You know, can't stop. All right, let's record.
Okay, so there was a little synth thing in here.
I like the sound of that.
This little dun dun.
Yeah. Break it up. Yeah.
So I would take that dun dun, make it more prominent throughout the break. So kind of take away all this vocal, these like random vocals that you've put in there. Take that, like repeat it every bar throughout the break. Open up the filter, cut off, get it like big. Get it kind of like washing out.
All right.
Over the top of this, over the top of the snare roll.
All right. Let's record.
You know, just have that as like the new main feature of the track or something.
You know.
Sounds like you're doing that with.
I like the sound of that. Break it up. Yeah.
So I think really solid sounding track, dude. I think it's like almost there. Just a few tweaks, basically. Really nice balance on all the sounds in here. All the sounds work really nicely together. The only thing I'm kind of feel like is a little bit missing at this stage is a little bit of detail in the percussion. I feel like just having kind of like, some little percussion motifs that repeat every kind of some that repeat every like 1 bar, some that repeat every 2 bars, 4 bars, 8 bars, that just kind of like work into the groove, kind of like you'd put like a snare fill at like a snare roll or something at the end of every 8 bars, just like a fill at the end of every like 8 bars or something like that. But take that concept and like just apply it more throughout the groove, and it just is going to give it a bit more interest and detail. If you're not sure how to go about that, just grab some reference tracks and see what's going on in them. I think you could do with a little bit more reverb coming onto the synth, like that reverb was happening on the whole mix, but oops. I think there's space in here after the break to have like some kind of more mid-range, plucky, kind of stabby, kind of aggressive synth happening. You've got space, I think, in the low mids to have something like boom, something every one bar or 2 bars or something like. You know, I like some kind of aggressive kind of sound. Anyway, but really cool track, really well done. I think, yeah, just a little bit more detail in the percussion will really, really go a long way with that. Really good one here. This feels like you've kind of, so Dos is another guy that sends in tracks pretty regularly, almost every time, as far as I can tell. This kind of sounds quite leveled up for compared to some of your other stuff. I really liked the way you brought in this ARP thing here. Basically, after this first drop, everything was sounding really good. Build it up pretty well. I like this like high frequency synth that comes in here when you're adding in the snare roll. It's helping to add like another dimension to the increase in energy and tension and release and stuff. So this main synth that you've got playing this new melody feels a little bit thin or something. I don't know. Maybe it's just not got enough movement on it. I'm not sure. Maybe like try closing it a little bit. The filter, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it works. Maybe it's just also to my taste of what I like, but the track is sounding really good.
You don't have to pretend, baby.
That piano thing sounds a little bit dry here.
You don't have to pretend, baby.
I feel like there's kind of like the beat feels a bit chaotic and also a bit muddy. The kick and bass, there's not a lot of separation between them, in my opinion.
Pretend, baby. You don't have to pretend, baby. You don't have to pretend, baby. You start to think around. You start to think.
So I think in general, the elements need a bit more modulation, like these melodic elements, sorry. I think the beat feels a little bit chaotic. It's quite muddy. Like the way I try to overcome that when I'm mixing my tracks is I mix like the kick and the bass and get them so they're balanced and grooving together, and then I bring in the main drum elements, generally like the clap or snare or whatever that's happening on the second beat and fourth beat, and then like the main hats, whether that's like an open hi-hat or or maybe some kind of closed hi-hat or something like that, just the things that are making the whole beat really solid. Then I bring in the other elements and kind of like mix them in one by one and trying to make sure that everything's kind of like working together. And I'll also really like try to be quite brutal with the elements in my beat, and if any of them are taking away from that groove that I'm trying to create, then I just turn them off. Kind of, I feel like less elements that are more purposefully placed always trumps like loads of layers. Yeah, but the combination of like the very skippy, quite a lot going on beat with this kind of like almost like gated sounding synth, it kind of, yeah, it feels like things aren't really grooving together. So I think the vibe of the track is cool, but there's some kind of like fundamentals that aren't really working too well in terms of the groove. So I would kind of, yeah, strip it back and start building it up again just by turning elements on one at a time and trying to figure out what are the most important elements for the groove there, and then strip out anything that's unnecessary. Very nice, simple kind of groove going on here. All the elements are working really well together. Nice work with adding different elements at different places in the frequency spectrum, like something that a lot of people do. I mean, I do it sometimes myself, but a trap that a lot of people fall into is putting a lot of elements in the same place in the frequency spectrum. So this is nice. So it's like really building up with layers of like synths that are in different, that all have space in the frequency spectrum. And it's still pretty simple in terms of the number of elements, but it's starting to sound really full, which is great. I like the way that there's like a good contrast between elements that are quite aggressive and elements that are a bit more dreamy. It's nice using these kind of elements, like these little, I don't know what they are, like little kind of percussion kalimba kind of things in here with the delay on them. It really makes the drop feel like the energy's coming, the break feel like the energy's coming down a bit, and it gives you a good place to be able to build up energy from. Great, and you've stripped back away most of the elements so that these synths in here really have the opportunity to shine, but there's still enough going on in the kind of background that it's interesting. Really good stuff here. Really like the way that you've kind of created. You've been quite intentional with the way that the energy flows through the track, and like it's got really good dynamics where the energy goes up and down. The frequencies are kind of changing. Yeah, really, it's really good. The only thing I could think to maybe improve is like the beat is very static. The drums are very static. So there's like could be an opportunity there to like add in a couple of subtle elements in different places, like a ride or a shaker or a tambourine or something that just within the drums specifically just helps to lift up the energy a little bit, and then you can take that away to bring down the energy a little bit. Could be worth a try, but really good stuff. So this is just feeling a bit loopy, to be honest, and the drums feel a little bit dull, but let's see how it progresses. So if I kind of take this part, I'm not entirely sure what you're going for here, but some of these synths feel a little bit, how do I say it? I mean, I'm just going to say how it sounds. It sounds a bit amateur. The things that are making them sound a bit amateur are the fact that they don't really gel that well together. They're not really sounding like, it sounds to me from the beat and stuff that you're going for some kind of like deep tech, kind of deep house type. And then some of the sounds that are coming in have got this kind of like ravey or EDM kind of feel to them. Some of the patterns are a little bit robotic, and most of the elements don't have much modulation or anything going on. You're doing some automation in like this break here, which is great, but just kind of creating movement throughout the like these drop sections, I think, is also important. And your drums sound very dull. So if I grab this and turn this up, that's quite a dramatic EQ, and it's adding quite a lot to your drums. So kind of, if you hear the contrast there, it almost sounds like the beat is underwater or something. But you know, good stuff. Good. I think you've got the basic foundation there. Now just kind of work on refining that. Okay, so I think there's something here to this track. It's got some cool elements, and like I think the vocal could be utilized pretty well. What I feel like is falling a bit short is like kind of similar to the last one where I said that some of the elements feel like they're not really talking to each other, in that they're not like they're not. It feels like they're not from the same palette of sounds, if that makes sense. Like they're not kind of complementing each other well or working together well. I think initially, I think your clap is kind of, yeah, it's not really working. It's quite loud, but it's also quite I think just like a short, snappy kind of clap would probably work better for this. Again, like I'm kind of guessing at what you're going for. I'm guessing that it's kind of like that you're trying to do something that's in the realms of like what I do. Yeah, so I think that there's like a cool idea in here, but working a bit more closely on your sound selection would really help. So if I don't know, let's try warping it here. And then just grab this part of this, chop it, and bring in this envelope a little bit, and just see how it sounds with a bit tighter. Yeah, I feel like a big part of it is like the clap, and maybe the kick is not working for the style. Then the bass line feels a little bit robotic. I think just getting a little bit more of a groovy pattern that's like working together with creating like syncopation with the beat and the vocal and stuff would be a good next move. So really refine those core drums, and then try and work with the bass line to get it grooving with the beat and the vocal. Nice dubby sounds in this. Really like that. I like that little percussion, like rim shot or something on the clap. Sounds really cool. Really nice different sounds that you're using on the clap here. It really helps to give the beat character. And nice that you've picked it up with this like quite strong closed hi-hat on the offbeat. Nice atmospheric stuff going on. Some cool glitchy sounds in the background there, but they're very much in the background. They're not overtaking the drive of the beat. yeah, I mean, this is just really, really well put together, and it's simple, and it's simple yet detailed. And what I mean by that is like there's lots of texture and things going on, but the core idea in front just stays kind of solid, and all the sounds are complementing each other and working well, really well together. Yeah, that's Mirage's track. Yeah, so good. You need to send some stuff to Bondage Music, man. It's, yeah, I think it's, I feel like this would fit really well to Bondage Music. If you, yeah, I don't know, text me. I can help you send some stuff to them if you want. But always solid stuff from Mirage. If you don't follow him, go check him out. He's killing it right now. I feel like this kick is a bit like doesn't really, yeah, the kick, it feels a little bit off. And then with the bass line that you've brought in here, it's the combination of the kick and bass is like bringing down the energy quite a bit. Like if I compare it to, say, the kick that Mirage is using here. See, it's a lot, his kick is, well, I guess it's got more limiting and stuff on it, but if I don't know, try bringing this in line, you can see it's kind of got a bit more body, but it's a little bit shorter. This kick here, if I cut this and like bring it up in volume a bit, we'll clip it, you can see it's kind of like, yeah, it's a little bit longer. You kind of, I would want it to kind of start tailing off here in time for this hi-hat to happen. Oops. And it sounds a little bit, maybe a bit aggressive, like maybe it's a 909 or something like that. It's got a heavy attack and not as much body, but the body's got a bit of distortion on it. I don't know, yeah, it sounds quite a lot like a 909 to me. Nice vibe that you've got going on here. I feel like those chords that you're using could be a little bit more interesting. It kind of sounds like it's all saw waves, so maybe using some different oscillators on the like on different voices if it's multiple voices, or just getting some modulation effects on it, like a phaser or flanger or something. Also cutting out some of the lows of them would be good.
Congress has been making some important progress, but also has a lot of unfinished business. I urge Congress to join me in acting to achieve and advance 3 big goals. We need to win the war, and now it's back to work.
Yeah, I think like what I was saying, switching out the kick to something that's a bit more, I don't know what the word for it is, a bit more like Mirages. Okay, here's a hot tip for you. Go and buy a couple of Mirages tracks off Beatport, buy them in WAV file or AIFF and sample the kicks. I think that would really fix up your track a bit. If you don't know how to do that, check out my channel. I've got a couple of videos on how to steal kicks. And then these chords that you've got, I think they're cool. Like I said, a bit of modulation, cut out some of the low frequencies. Steve Kelly in the chat, what up? Yeah, cut out some of the low frequencies, get a bit more movement going on them with some filter or something, and I think just make them, yeah, like at the moment they're kind of like take over the track a little bit and bring the energy down. It could be that they're voiced too low as well, I'm not sure, but they're a cool element and adding some nice vibe, so I think it's worth messing around with them and getting them right. Also, go check out Steve Kelly's new EP on Bondage Music. It's fire. Some nice little details in this beat here. I feel like something maybe in the hats you've got like some cool different sounds here, but I think it sounds like they're all kind of similar to like a 909 or 707 closed hi-hat, right? So what I would suggest is get some different textures doing some of these different sounds. So you've got your like main closed hat, and some of the ones that are a little bit more atmospheric or rhythmic, maybe use a shaker for one, or a different, just get some different sounds in there, and it's going to make the beat feel a bit more dynamic without adding anything to it. There's this like little synth fill here. I'd bring that up in volume a little bit, like, kind of try to have some elements that are a bit more bold in there. And this like little plucky synth thing that you've got going on. Kind of, if you can try and work a bit of modulation into that, a bit of movement. It sounds also quite central. Maybe a bit of chorus on it or something. A little bit of velocity movement on the, so set it so that the filter cutoff, is affected by the velocity, and then add some variation in the velocity, something like that. Or you could even just experiment with like chucking a tantra on it, or Infiltrator, or one of these kind of glitchy plugins, with the dry wet down like the mix about 40%, 50%, something like that. I mean, this is really cool. It's got a nice vibe. I think it's almost there. It's just about kind of like adding a few details and kind of bringing it a little bit to the next level. Yeah, and I think it's always helpful to have some kind of elements that are, and you've got cool elements in there, but some of them, everything feels a little bit tucked back, a little bit reserved. So having some contrast and dynamics between the different elements, having something loud so that other things feel a bit more tucked back, rather than it feels kind of like almost like you've got all your synths in a group and everything's just a little bit low in volume at the moment. This is cool with this like I don't know what they're called, like mallet kind of thing, kalimba or something. But yeah, really nice.
Get back to the funk.
So with this little 16th note sound, I would suggest like just playing a little bit here, just like the first bar or something, right? Then stop it there, have it delay out. You can always bring it in properly later, but then have that maybe play every 8 bars or something, so you're kind of introducing the element that then you can like use it to play in a breakdown or something. And then, or maybe you introduce it in full in the breakdown, and then after the breakdown you can have it play in full.
Get back to the funk. Get back to the funk.
So there's another one. I'm feeling a little bit confused about what you're trying to do. It feels like you're going for something that's kind of like deep house or something, but then it's getting a bit crazy with like loads of different synths. Everything's got quite open filters, and they're kind of competing for space and attention. Yeah, it just sounds like there's too much going on there. Like, I think you should really refine it, take it back to just what are the core elements, and focus on those, get those right. It sounds, there's also, again, it sounds like there's lots of, like, I don't know, preset synth sounds. I'm not sure. That's like, I use synth presets, but it's about finding sounds that complement each other, rather than just the first one you come across. And that can be, that's a skill that just takes time to develop your ears. Nice details in the percussion here. It's cool. I feel like you could have also something similar happening with some little synth shots or something to add a bit more depth to the beat. Like you've got these kind of percussion fills and stuff, like maybe some synth one shots or something. That you've brought in here and the trumpet just have nothing to do with each other. They're just kind of like, they're not interacting in any interesting way. They kind of feel like they're both just been thrown on top, to be honest. So I think one of them at a time could work, but when they both come in, they're just there. It just doesn't feel like, it makes the track feel not as cohesive. So I think you could use each, but use them like in separate parts.
Pra mim é muito nostálgico de muitas formas. Eu moro no Rio Grande do Norte. Tapioca com coco. E lembra também. Me lembra da minha infância. Maybe chop up the trumpet or something. If you want to use the vocal in this section, have some like chopped bits of the trumpet, use them to like kind of keep it in your mind, and then have the trumpet in the break, or vice versa, have like the trumpet playing over the beat and then use the vocal in the break or something like that. But I think just kind of like taking those loops and just having them there in full is not really working. Yeah, I mean, that's also a bit weird having it's a cool vocal, don't get me wrong, but I would say turn that shit off, keep it for another track. It just, it feels like, in my opinion anyway, it feels a bit amateur to have these kind of really like weird unrelated things just dropping in here and there. I think just like decide on what is the main point, the main feature of the track, and just double down on that. But solid stuff, cool beat, cool idea there. I just think it needs a little bit of rejig. Okay, there's way too much reverb and delay on that vocal.
Back into time. Nothing was forced. What I want to do is go back. Way
Okay, this like synth thing that you've got, this doon 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 doon, like it's, I think it sounds like it's maybe, I'm not sure it's supposed to be a bass line. But it sounds like it's maybe down an octave too low. It's also quite robotic sounding. It's not really interacting with the beat. The sound itself is not great. There's no modulation on it. Yeah, I mean, I would just grab some reference tracks of what you're trying to do here. Look at how they're using their vocals, because the vocals just like completely wrong. The vocal itself is fine. It's just like all this crazy amounts of reverb that you've got on top of it. And then like just work with refining the beat, getting a cool bass line and flicking through some presets till you find a cool sound for that bass line, and then go from there. Strip back a little bit of the vocal, and especially this like darling, let me see. Back the vocal quite a bit. That come on get down bit could be really cool. Just used a bit more sparingly.
Come on, get down. Show me how you move.
mean, there's some cool sounds in here for sure. A lot of the sounds are quite similar to one another. There's not a lot of contrast between them, so I feel like it's difficult to differentiate which sounds from where. I think the best way you can do that is by having sounds in different octaves, and then like different kind of textures, or if you have like one quite aggressive chord stab and then a kind of more plucky sound that's like playing a single tone or something. Just getting different contrasting sounds and that like have space for one another. But there's definitely a cool vibe and cool idea there that can be refined, I think. With this acid thing, it's cool. It kind of sounds like it's a sample that you're maybe like you've chopped up and then maybe filtering in. If it is, I think it's worth, because it's kind of like the standout element of the track. I feel like it's worthwhile trying to get a lot more automation and stuff, a lot more movement on it. Yeah, it sounds like really like the same tone. So if it's from a synth, then just go through and record automation, experiment around, like basically just loop it or something, and just map the controls to a controller or something like that, or just turn them in the synth and try and figure out what they do. Try and get some ideas of like, okay, if I do this, then it's going to kind of sound more in one way. If I do this, it's going to sound more in another way, and then just get it really moving, If it's a sample, then I would recommend trying to like replay the notes and record it, because it's kind of like the main feature of your track, and at the moment it sounds a little bit flat.
Take it to an underground party. We'll be going till the next day at the underground party. Party. Come right away. Let me take it to an
So Randall, this sounds like there's quite a lot going on in here. I think it sounds like you've got a lot of layers, but you're kind of missing a cohesive idea. with these like, I don't know, organs. Sounds like there's like a few layers of different keys and stuff, and a bass line. It sounds a bit complicated. There's just maybe a little bit too much going on. And then your vocal, I feel like it's a bit loud. It's overpowering the mix a little bit. It's not.
Away. Let me take you to an underground party.
I think there's the vocal itself has a cool like rhythm and melody, but I don't feel that that's necessarily interacting. It's kind of like further complicating the melodic like motifs that you've got there. So I think there's a matter of like refining this and figuring out what's the. I would say that the vocal is the main point. So then just take it back to basics. Make a bass line that supports that vocal. Some melodic stuff that's like maybe more sporadic, that does like a call and answer type thing with the vocal. The subject matter of the vocal, I think maybe if it could work.
Come right away. Let me take you to an underground party. We'll be going till the next day.
Yeah, I think if the beat was a bit cooler. What I mean by cooler is like, I mean, I know you're from Chicago. I think something that's a bit punchier. Like I think so for the vocal to work, I would suggest something like referencing some stuff that's on like Snatch or something like that. That's a bit more clubby. I think for this vocal to work, for me anyway, it would need to be contrasted with something a little bit more underground. It's reminding me of, now how am I going to find this? Emmanuel Satie did a really cool remix on DFTD of shit. How am I going to find this? Maybe I have it. This is like really old. I don't have it. I'll find it and send it to you. I'll find the reference track and send it to you. Sorry, it's slipping my mind what it's called right now. It'll probably come to me in a few minutes, but let's see. nice to see downpour back on the deep house tip. Yeah, really solid. Yeah, this is super solid. I'm not sure when we have a call next, but maybe we can talk about sending this and some other tracks to like Oral or something like that. Could be cool. Randall, I found the track I was thinking of. It's it's on Facebook. What the fuck? We don't want Facebook. Let's go for this YouTube one. Where are we? Okay, maybe we have to look at the Facebook. No, YouTube. Yeah. You see what I mean, Randall? Like it's more chunky and kind of like clubby house kind of beat. And then it's got quite a like soulful vocal, like what you were kind of doing, and then it has like a real contrast, and it makes the vocal there's like a lot more space for the vocal, but the vocal has like this kind of slightly, I don't know, it's not poppy, but it's kind of soulful aesthetic, similar to yours. In the context that you've presented it, I felt like your vocal sounds a bit cheesy, but with something to contrast it, it could be really cool. Like, so hopefully that makes sense. Another techie groover here from Joe Lana. Oh shit, okay, sorry, you couldn't hear the, I forgot to, oh my god, okay, one more time. Right, I'm gonna do this. Right. I need to change a setting here, so 1 second. Oops. So that kind of thing, Randall, you know, I know that's quite different to your normal style, but I feel like that contrasts really well with the vocals that you were doing. Sorry, Joe, for interrupting your track here. Yep. So what I would do with these vocals here is, like, if you're going to bring them in like this, then when on the drop, take them away. You know, like, because I'm guessing these are going to be playing pretty much throughout the whole track, right? Okay. Well, I guess wrong. So anyway. Okay, so I think with this like little come on bit, I think it's a cool answer, but I don't really feel like the I don't feel like the hit record thing. I feel like it's a little bit cheesy, and it sounds like you've got a cool vocal that's going to come in later. So I think like having the call and response thing with the little vocal chops could be cool, but I would say simplify it a little bit and try and make it a little bit less cliched. Sick vocal, man. I think it's a great idea with the vocal there. It's just a matter of like, don't overcomplicate it. You know, like decide what's the key feature of the track. In this case, the vocal, and just lean into that shit, man. You don't need this like. It's not adding anything to this, you know. And this is the money here. What I would recommend, and this is quite a big change for your track, is like you ditch all that vocal chop shit, unless you can find like some stuff from this vocal source or some other stuff to just that's a bit more like just like whatever, or breaths or something like that, that's just a bit more refined, and then get like some kind of like more strong melodic sound that can like work with this vocal, or like take its place when the vocal comes out, so that you've got kind of two hooks, one melodic and one vocal hook. Yeah, I think this has like some really solid potential, but it's I don't know, man. Get some reference tracks in there and just try to think about some reference tracks in your style. Like if it's not, I mean, the vocal's not like really a Rossi kind of style vocal, but like, you know, maybe something from Rossi or something. I don't know. Yeah, some stuff, maybe even Hot Creations or something. Just see how what they're using with their vocals and in terms of melodic stuff. That, yeah, fuck, I feel like I'm rambling. Sorry. It's a sick idea and there's some potential there. I think it's not quite working right yet, but it's close. So I feel like the track sounds like you're trying to do something in kind of like knee deep in sound type style, but then this rap vocal that you've got on top just completely throws that out the window. Like if you're going to have a rap vocal like this, I feel like having it over, like the vocal's clearly sped up, it's taking up a lot of space, and then having like all these kind of like atmospheric, quite loud synths going on. They're just competing with each other. So like if that vocal were to go over a really, really kind of stripped back, clubby kind of beat, maybe even something like what Joe's got here, the vocal is going to be able to stand out over top of the beat, right? But with what you've got, it's too much. There's too much going on. I think the track in itself sounds really cool. Yeah, I mean, I think you've got two tracks in one there. Is this your track, Ian? Okay, so I think your beat is a little bit quiet, or the hats in your beat. Let me do something. Oh, let's go from here. Now we're pumping. And then some of these synths, these kind of like bass sounds or whatever it is, are a bit too loud compared to your beat. But that said, the idea and stuff that you've got going on sounds really freaking good, man, and a lot more cohesive and a lot more like all the sounds are complementing each other really well. It's a massive step up from some of the previous tracks that you've sent in. So this yeah, it sounds so much better than some of the previous tracks, man. Like all the sounds are sounding really good. This like 16th note synth that you've got that comes in here, I would like bring that in, crank it up. I don't know how I'll be able to do that. Maybe if I grab a saturation decapitator or something. Just put this on so I don't kill it. just like crank that 16th note synth, get it like big, and create some tension there, and then pull that all back when it drops. Really solid, man. Great stuff. Well done. Yeah, more volume and more cutoff, I think, Ian.
This is me.
So I think there's a bit of a misbalance with your hats and your clap here. Like the hats are very quiet and shuffly and closed and not very powerful, and then you've got this very powerful, quite aggressive kind of clap. So if I either like use this EQ to bring the clap volume down a bit. Or a combination of that and turn your hats up a bit. Yeah. So this seems like, for the amount of stuff that's actually happening or changing, this arrangement seems like unnecessarily long. I think you could have a more dynamic and interesting arrangement that even fit into like 5 minutes. Let's see what's going on in the break here.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I would really suggest to you is take these parts that you've made here, create some shorter loops out of them, and basically like make a remix pack for this track, and then get some reference tracks and make a remix basically of your track, and try and do it in the direction of one of these reference tracks in terms of like the arrangement and the drum sounds and stuff. I don't know, you could give that a go, and it might help you get the track a bit closer to where you want to go. Because at the moment I feel like the arrangement is definitely not very compelling. It's quite, there's lots of like cool little edits and little details in there, but like if you were to graph the like energy of the track, it's just very linear, right? There's just not much happening, even though there's lots happening. Solid groove here. I think this stab sound could be maybe even down an octave, or close the filter cutoff a little bit. Like I just put that reverb in there, like get a bit of fucking drama going on in these tracks sometimes, guys, especially the more minimal ones, That's what I think anyway. It's like cool to be reserved, but you also like want these tracks to stand out, you know. This is really solid in terms of like everything sounds good together. It's got great potential. It's a great groove. Oh, okay, so here we've got a whole bunch of stuff that's being sidechained to a kick that's no longer in the track. This is like becoming a real pet peeve of mine when I hear tracks like this. It's just things sound so much, and it's like because of like LFO Tool or Kickstart or whatever. So you have I guess the same thing happens if you're using like a ghost kick in your arrangement. But basically, like, yeah, you come into a place in the track where there's no kick happening, and then everything's like being heavily ducked to the kick. It just starts to sound really amateur, which is a shame because this like beat sounds really freaking good. I think also, I don't know what's going on with your arrangement, whether this is supposed to be like a edit for Spotify or something. If it is, it's probably a bit long. These days, I think you want to go for more like 3 minutes for a Spotify edit if you can. And for a club track of this style, I would suggest you're probably trying to go for 6 to 7 minutes. So get some references for the arrangement. You've got a great track there. I think you just need to work the arrangement a bit more and try and add some drama, like mad. All right. Okay, we're gonna have to start speeding up, or otherwise we're not gonna get through all these tracks in the next 13 minutes. Something missing from your hats here, brother. There they are. So I think this is kind of the same feedback I've given you on this track before, but like my favorite parts here are these bits before this main riff comes in over the beat. Like I just feel like it's a bit more, I don't know, it feels less crowded when you have this main beat going with just a little bit of the synths, and then there's always the opportunity to bring them in here or something. it does feel, it feels good. Like it feels like you might have stripped out a little bit from the track that was in there previously. I'm not sure. It's getting there. But I think the same feedback that I kind of always give you is like, especially for the kind of music that you're making and the labels that you want to get onto, I feel like just strip it back and keep it simple. With like, cause like the piano idea is cool. It's strong, but using it with a little bit more tension and release, I think, is really important. This has got a lot going on. There's a lot happening here for the start of a track. I mean, it's a solid kind of groove that you've got here. Feels like because you did so much at the start that you've kind of given away all your tricks by a couple of minutes into the track. So, you know, I think it's always worth trying to think about that in terms of your arrangements, is like pacing yourself. Don't give everything away from the get-go. Wouldn't it make more sense to kind of, because you've already done this build up basically here, right? Feels essentially copied and pasted, right? So wouldn't it make more sense to like strip this out and introduce this big aggressive lead? Just bring it in slowly here, build it up so it's just that with loads of reverb and shit on it. Then stop it, have it delay out, or maybe put the vocal there or something, and then slam back into this, because it kind of like, it's like, okay, I've already heard this, and then this just comes out of nowhere, right? And it's a cool, intense sound. You could use it to better effect in another part of the track, I think. You just need a little bit more action in your highs there. Get some intensity increasing in here, you know. maybe like a high string or something could have helped to lift that a little bit. Yeah. It doesn't have to be crazy. It can be subtle, but you just get some movement happening in here. Like it's kind of like you've just taken out the low end, but then get something interesting to like grab my attention happening with these synths and stuff. It doesn't have to be like over the top, because it's not an over the top track, but just make it interesting. That synth that you've brought in here, the kind of response one, try like either voicing it up an octave or revoicing some of the sounds on the chords so that they're like some of the notes are up an octave, playing a bit higher, and try just like with a mellow cut like this, taking out a bit of the lows, because it sounds just a bit muddy at the moment. It's not really adding any spice. You could also try increasing the envelope amount on the filter to just have it a bit more open. Okay, so this is fine. This is coming down, but then you want something to happen here. You want to shift, right? This is like a moment here where you've got the opportunity to create some excitement. So it's cool. I mean, it's like, the whole track is like well put together, but it lacks kind of courage, like be a bit more bold with some of these elements and some of this like automation, and just create a bit more impact, I think. Wrong kick for this track, man. It's fucking huge, and it's just swamping everything. So as soon as you bring a bass line in there, unless it's like a very subtle, chilled bass line, it's just gonna kill everything. I think the kick is probably too loud, and it's just huge. Like what I would want this kick to look like in terms of like the waveform. I'd want it to, for this track, I would want that kick to look more like that or something. Maybe a bit longer, sorry. So there's one, yeah, maybe something like that. But this kick is like brutal for this track. So now, like I kind of predicted, you've got quite a full-on bass line coming in there, very subby. The kick's just, yeah, it's not right, mate. So the low end just sounds like there's no definition. It's a mess. vocal is very tucked in the background. But it's not increasing in intensity or in or volume or anything. So something you could do that would be quite cool, that would add to that vocal, is put some like gating on it or something, that bit before the drop, but get the rest of the vocal up in volume a bit. But yeah, you need to sort out that low end burr. And another like quite cool sounding progressive track that feels quite short, like it feels like you've brought in a lot of stuff. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. Feels like you've brought in quite a lot quite early. I feel like this track's a little bit full. There's kind of there's maybe some stuff that's taking away from the main point of the track, and you're adding in a lot of stuff right from the start, which means that you need to add more to make it feel like something's happening. It's always a good trick is to like take stuff away, then you can always add it back in. Yeah, I feel like there's a bit of refining to be done on here, but in general it's really good. The sounds are cohesive and sounding, they all kind of sound like they should be in the same track, but the same type of track, but maybe there's just too many sounds. So we're now kind of like over time, so these are going to be really quick.
We're getting some odd.
So I think your beat is a bit, maybe it's like also, yeah, so I think your highs are a bit quiet. Sounds like you've got reverb on your kick, not a good idea generally. Maybe there's something that's happening on the downbeat that is catching that reverb, but it makes it, especially now that I've turned up these highs, it sounds pretty weird. your synths sound quite kind of classic house, quite Chicago house kind of thing, and the rest of your sounds like your beat and the vocal and stuff is a bit more modern. And then you've got this quite melodic techno-y kind of stuff going on. So yeah, but it needs to be a bit more cohesive in terms of the sounds that you're selecting as well. And the arrangement is quite linear, like everything's just quite flat, things come in, come out. There's not really a lot of movement, especially it's very noticeable in here in the range. Sounds like Ferric Dawn. I think have you ripped this beat from a Ferric Dawn, or maybe you've used my Ferric Dawn template? Obscure, you probably don't see your track if I couldn't find it, like the link didn't work or it wasn't download enabled. Some really heavy sidechain on this. Sounds a bit too much. Yeah, that sidechain's way over the top. I think you need a bit more detail in your hats. And the vocal and the kind of sidechained chords or whatever it is, a pad kind of thing, kind of competing for space. Sounds very full. There's lots going on. It's kind of hard to get a grasp on what's the actual main hook of the track. And your drums, your hats and stuff are quite quiet compared to the rest of it. Yeah. It's really not my thing, but it's done super well. Works very, yeah, like the arrangement works. It's great. Release it. Should be signed. Adria, I feel like your stuff is getting more techno. I mean, again, I feel like this one could maybe use some volume in the hats. I don't know. I just feel like it makes it a bit more balanced, especially with these tracks with really big bass lines. Well, obviously not with that. So that's why you want to do it just your hats, but. But really solid. I mean, up to you. Maybe pump the hats and stuff up a bit, and then send it out. Send it out to some labels. Nune. You've got a cool groove here. A vocal track like this, I would always recommend. Like, if you take away the vocal, thinking about it in terms of like, if you take away the vocal, does the track still stand up? Is it still an interesting track? And I think you've got like I like the beat, I like the vibe of your track, but I don't think if you take the vocal away, that it's very interesting. And that's basically just to do with the arrangement, right? So you didn't hear it at all. I'm skipping through it, and it sounds the same pretty much the whole way through, right?
Could it be that you would?
So it's a cool beat. I think you just need to work on the arrangement a little bit. It's pretty static. Yeah, but I think you know. It's cool. It's in a good place. So you just need to make the arrangement more interesting, and then make it kind of make the vocal work with that. I don't know what you mean, mate. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. Some really cool tracks in here. A lot of tracks. Hopefully I was able to help some of you, if not all of you. Remember, this stuff's just my opinion. It's my feedback. I try to keep it as like objective as possible. Some stuff is quite difficult for me to comment on if it's like a style or something that I really am not that familiar with. But in general, I do what I can, just trying to help. Anyway, thanks for everyone who sent in their stuff. I know it's not always, it can be a bit scary to put your stuff out there in the public like that, but that's part of it, part of the journey. And I think, as we can see from some of the guys that send stuff in regularly, like Unknown Vibes, Ollie Balin, Ian C, Dickie Clare, who I mentioned at the start, some of these guys are really pushing themselves and getting their tracks, like the increase in quality is like really obvious when you listen to, if you go back like a year and listen to some of the stuff that they sent into streams then. So, keep consistent, keep pushing it. I skipped your track too many times. Yeah, bro, there's 35 tracks. If you want to get your track heard more, send it in when when I post the feedback stream, right? I posted it 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that's just how it is. You got to be in to win. You got to be in there first if you want to get your stuff heard. You want to get more detailed feedback. When I post up the feedback streams in, then get your track in, because you may have noticed we listened to a lot more detail of the ones that were earlier. That's just how it is, man. I'm already over time, so I'm sorry that you're disappointed you didn't get your track listened to for 7.5 minutes, but it's how it is, bro. I can't sit here all night and listen to your track. I think I gave you some solid feedback. Hopefully you can do something with it. All right, on that note, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon. We'll probably do this in another couple of weeks, since it was a little bit late. We'll probably do one early April. Yeah, enjoy your Sunday. Peace. So let's close this up and ending stream.